Culture shock. 'Cause, coming from Baltimore is such a small city, and it doesn't expose you to a bunch of things. So when you're coming from Baltimore and then you get into that real world, it's kind of like, whoa, this is a lot. What do I do now? How do I figure out my lane or my path, and what do I do? For me, man, I was blessed and fortunate enough to move out of Baltimore when I was 17. I went to Arizona. Things that I see is more so just misguided action. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no purpose or motivation with certain kids or certain groups, but then also the negative influences from the internet, negative influences from, outside influences and things of that nature, where certain stuff is being pushed, but not the right things are being pushed. Why school not being pushed? Why education not being pushed? Entrepreneurship, trade, athletics, of course, is always.
The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said you're up and I'm up. Y'all now tuned in to the Grind Hard Dream Big Show. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I got a special guest in the building. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Tyson Smith, President and CEO of THK Worldwide Incorporated, nonprofit in Baltimore, Maryland. It's good to be here, man. Finally linked up.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
The harder you grind, the bigger you dream, for sure, man. So for the people that don't know, what was like your upbringing, like where you were born and raised?
Yeah, like I said, I'm born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. And like I'm really from there. You know how some people move, and I really was born and raised from there, single parent household. Shout out to my mom's Mildred. Missy, she raised me and my older brother Tony. And I've been there, my whole life, playing ball, going to school, making all type of friends, and I got a real relationship with a bunch of people there in Baltimore that's home. So that's where my heart is. But my upbringing was solid, man. Like, my mother instilled some great things in me and my brother, some good principles and morals and code in us that we were able to, hold on to and make us men. So we had to grow up a little bit earlier than most, but that come with life just in general. They throw you unexpected turns and things of that nature, but you roll with the punches and you keep going. You know what I mean? So upbringing was solid though. Man. Yeah.
Nah, for sure, for sure. So like, how was like school like? Because like I said, I feel like you find your hobbies, you find the things that you kind of like doing. So like, how was like the school life for you?
Well, it's different because when I talk to youth nowadays, they figuring out themselves and what they want to do. Me personally, I already knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to play ball. I wanted to play basketball at the highest level I could, and that's what I ended up doing. But school was different, man. You had your friend groups. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody wanted to be somebody as well, too. In a positive way, though. I want to say in a positive way. Everybody ain't want to be a negative influence in the community. I think everybody had their focus on sports and school and different aspirations and ambitions that they wanted to, partake in. So for me, man, school was good. I had a really good school experience everywhere I went. I went to 2 different high schools, and then I went to one big middle school, and that was parked in the area of Baltimore County where like a ton of our friends and family went. So it was cool, man, for sure.
So everything being homegrown, I love that. That's dope. That's
for sure.
Dope.
I got my roots there.
For sure. So as you're like navigating through that, right? Because I know like, okay, now you got your elementary, you got your middle, you got your high school. So now like early adulthood, like what was that transition like? Because it's like, dang, okay, I'm not in high school no more. Like now I'm really like an adult, man, like over the 18, over the 21, like, whoa, what's up?
Right. It was a culture shock because coming from Baltimore is such a small city, and it doesn't expose you to a bunch of things. So when you're coming from Baltimore and then you get into that real world, it's kind of like, whoa, this is a lot. What do I do now? How do I figure out my lane or my path, and what do I do? For me, man, I was blessed and fortunate enough to move out of Baltimore when I was 17. I went to Arizona, went to prep school out there, and that's where I became a real man that got to live on my own, take sports full time, and focus on that solely because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So with my ambition being stuck on that, I put all of my time and my craft into that, and that paid off for me for sure.
That's good, man. Making those daily deposits and investments.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
For sure. So like, as you're navigating that though, right? Now we get into like things of like networking and building. So like, what does community mean to you? And like, how has it played how did it play a vital part in like your development and everything?
Yeah, community means everything, man, because it takes a village to do anything as a community or instill impact in somebody or a kid, youth in general, but just the community aspect of just what it means to me is that I love people. I love my people as well too. But Baltimore is just a special place for me. We talked about it all the time, but I can't forget about the place that helped make me who I am and made me. So, far as community, man, that means a lot to me because I know how impactful it is to have community behind certain individuals. I have individuals that can reach into their community and pull, resources out or pull love out, support. That's all stuff that's needed. So, I know community is huge, man. It's huge.
Nah, definitely. It's like it's that village. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you go outside, you like, all right, bet. You got your neighbor, you got your neighbor, then you got your other neighbor. So now
Right.
you got the neighborhood. Now it's like, okay, bet.
Yeah.
I'm outside. My parents got me, my parents got them. Guess what? Auntie over here, grandma in the neighborhood, or the uncle in the neighborhood, or the grandpa in the neighborhood. Now I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On all fours. You know what I'm saying? So when you out, they know where you at. You got your surroundings and everything like that. So, or like your blinkers. When you don't think your blinkers is on. Now your blinkers on.
Yeah.
You good.
Yeah.
So how is that now? Because I feel like people have to look at the transition time and everything and what how community is shifted, right? Because now we're adults and now we're seeing, community, we're seeing youth, we're seeing kids, and we're like, all right, I see this, I want to do that. Like, what are some of the things that are alarming now, especially in the work that you're doing?
And the most thing I see is direction. There's no guidance to anything. So like I said earlier, man, it's like kids don't really know what they want to do. They don't even know who they are. So coming into certain situations and certain things, they're not confident enough to be like, I want to do this, or I want to be able to, be the president. Things like that, they not even thoughts to them. I know I went to a school one time and spoke, and the kid was like, I just wanted to make it to 16. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Only 16?
Yeah, that's how deep it is.
That's
and he
crazy.
was like, I think he was 15 at the time, and he was like, I just wanted to make it to 16, and that was it. And I was like, that's how low the bar is now, though, because the thought process and it going into like, who do I want to be and who do I want to be, it's not, pushed as much as it should be. Like, you want to wake up with a purpose. You want to wake up and have ambition. You want to wake up and be motivated. These kids are very, very unmotivated, but then that's causing for them to kind of fall under the spectrum of like, yo, I want to have purpose, but I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So like, how would we define purpose though? Because like I feel like purpose is like, I think of purpose and I'd be like, okay, that's a call to action.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Like understanding my why, even when somebody asks me like how, what, when, and where.
Right.
So like, how would you define purpose?
I would define purpose by definitely a call to action, but like it's a mission, but in itself it's also destiny. It's got to be what God called you to do, what God kind of put you on this earth to do. You know what I mean? So like whatever seed is planted inside of you, you got to be able to nurture that seed, whatever it may be. Everybody got a different purpose. But then if you don't nurture the seed on the other end of the spectrum, it's like you won't be able to find out even who you are, because that's your purpose is rooted in that. So I think that's purpose for me. It's more so destiny. Like, what are you called here to do? And then also figuring out who you are at the same time. It's a roadmap to kind of figure out life. Yeah.
Nah, for sure. I like that. The roadmap to figure out life.
Yeah,
I like that, man.
yeah.
You dropping these bars. Okay. Okay, man. Okay. Man.
Yeah.
Nah, for sure. So like, I guess how is networking like, right? Because I know when we're doing community work and we outside, we trying to, connect the dots and everything like that, and make things happen, or pick the, paint the, the Mona Lisa, Lisa picture, all that stuff. Like, how is networking for you in the space, man?
Yeah, I told you this, but I love the interview with Miss Hardy, DC.
Yeah.
She spoke about it in a very profound way too. It's just like we human at the same time. So like sometimes we just want to go out, have a good time, meet people, and then that be that. But then sometimes we don't feel like doing that. Networking is that. It's just being able to communicate with a bunch of people, but um, like you said, painting that Mona Lisa, man. Networking is just knowing who's in the room, who does what, figuring out all of those things, and then understand how to navigate through that. How can this person help me? How can I genuinely connect with this person? Because everything got to be genuine and organic. I think nothing can be forced or like put in a way where it's like only one way street. Everything got to be two way. You know, if I help you, I definitely got to help you. You got to help me. That type of thing.
For sure.
But then also understanding that networking has its different purposes as well too. Everything doesn't have to end in y'all working together or y'all building a partnership and then building a business together or whatever the case may be. Networking could be like, I know this person, then if I ever jump in a room where it's people that can help that person, I'm gonna shout that person out and speak that person's name when they're not in the room so I can help them get in the room.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I always look at. It's like, man, it's like throwing the alley oop. You know what I'm saying? It's basketball, right? You know what I'm saying? If I can't slam dunk it, somebody else could. You know what I'm saying? And that type of thing. And I feel like, when you put people in position, that's like, that's the best thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I know if I'm not capable, I'm not available, but I know somebody else that do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All right, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? My schedule may be busy, but they may be free.
Right.
So I'm saying if they free, go ahead and let them do it. And I think at the same time, when you're adding value to value, man, like it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you getting the information and everything that you need to, better the situation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I guess like some of the events and like the reason why, you do what you do, like how has that been? Like, the events that you've done. 'Cause I know sometimes we get so caught up in the work.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we done did this, we done did that, or it was this. So like, have you ever like looked back and been like, man, we started here, now we here.
Yeah, it's been incredible, man. The journey's been worthwhile. It's been exciting. But it's been an experience each level we went to. So each event is a lesson for us to go to that next level. How can we make this bigger? How can we improve this? Or how can we get more people involved? So I think with that, man, it's been an experience more than anything. Jumping from our first turkey drive for Thanksgiving in 2021 to where we at now is a complete jump. Helping more families each and every year. I know you do the Dave and Buster's thing where you guys started off at 100, now y'all at like, all types of numbers. So just making sure we improve and escalate the board every year. I think that's where we at with it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I look back and I'll scale back and be like, okay, so the first book bag drive, like we did 250, and another, then it's like 350, then it's 4, now it's 5, now we aiming for 6. So like Dave and Buster's, we started off 10, 20, 30, now 40, now aiming for 50 kids. So it's like, it's that elevation that sometimes you be like, whoa. And then you build, but then it's like, okay, we got so caught up on that, it's like, do we even celebrate that?
Yeah,
or we always
right,
focus on like, dang, man, we so futuristic. Like, man, what's next?
Yeah.
So like, I guess the notion of like the self-care through this thing, man, like, how do we, like, what is your self-care through this, man? Because that's a big thing, bro.
Man. It's hard, man. Self-care is a touchy topic, especially for men, because, when you play different roles, I'm a dad, fiance,
Shout out to that, man.
My brother,
Shout out to
my
that.
uncle. I'm all that in between, so like that doesn't stop.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So phone ringing. Fiance may need me for something. My boys may need me for something.
Right.
I gotta be in a million places at one time. That self-care really come from the time I take away from home, and if it's hooping, working out with my brothers, or spending time with them, or just even being by myself or something like that with my phone away from me, I'm able to kind of take care of myself mentally. And I think that's huge because people don't know, the path to success is not the road easily traveled. It's the road less traveled. People don't go this route the way we going about it organically, and then also doing it in a way where we the first ones to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't really got a lot of people in our city that's kind of building that way of a group of young men, black men, being able to like push that narrative forward and then help the community as well too. So it's different, but it is needed though. Every day it's needed.
Yeah, for sure. I love how you sat there and said like, being away from the phone.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest thing, because like,
Yeah.
you could be the go-to for everything. It's
Right.
like, hold up,
Yeah.
nah, I'm gonna put myself on D&D. Like, nah, bro,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm socially unavailable.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot do this right
Yeah.
now. I cannot answer that. Nah, I need to put something in my tank, because it's easy to pull or easy to be on go for everybody else, but it's like, bro, I'm on E. I need to stop I need to go ahead and put gas in my tank, so that way I can be good and stuff like that. So that's definitely dope, man. And like you just sat there and said, as men, it's just the grind, the grit. We don't really talk about like how we feel, or all these things like that too. So hopefully being able to create a safe space where it's normalized and understanding, like, yo, I mean, life is more than the grind. You know what I'm saying? We gotta make sure that we mentally,
also working on
right.
spaces to help with that too.
Yeah.
Like, I think that being in the work, you know what's going on, because you can kind of gauge yourself and be like, yo, what do I need right now? And then you get bright ideas like, yo, how don't we just create a mental health space for kids? You know what I mean? That's how businesses are formed, from bright ideas like that, where you're able to gauge where life is, and then you take where life is, and then you put that in action form, and then you build a service around it.
For sure, absolutely. Building that service. And I think that, how can you help people is always going to be more important than what you can gain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Understand
Right,
that, bro.
yeah.
Because
100%.
then once you understand that, it's like, all right, if you're of service of people, then people could be of service to you. And then that's how the world go around.
And that's how you leave yourself behind when you're not here no more too. That's legacy. That's like, impact bigger than yourself. Because I can do a million things. I can make 100 million. I could, do a bunch of stuff. But then like, that don't really amount to nothing material wise. Yeah, that's cool. But like, if I'm gone tomorrow, I want to be able to say I impacted lives, I changed lives, I help people grow, all those things. That's what really matters, though.
Yeah, that personal development for sure.
Yeah.
So like, the issues with the youth, man, like, how could we really like solve some of these things? We see the social media, we see them, wilding for the attention, or wilding for the gram, or whatever that may be. Like, what are some of the things that you see with these kids, and wish that we could get like a jump start on, kind of to do that?
The things that I see is more so just misguided action. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no purpose or motivation with certain kids or certain groups, but then also the negative influences from the internet, negative influences from, outside influences and things of that nature, where certain stuff is being pushed, but not the right things are being pushed. Why school not being pushed? Why education not being pushed? Entrepreneurship, trade, athletics, of course, is always being pushed. But one thing I want to say about athletics too is that, like, it's a small percentage of the world that gets to do that. 1%. Even going to D1, that's 1% of the world that gets to do that. It's a very low percentage out of 8 billion people.
Right.
Then shrink that even more to 0.1%, where people don't even get to make it to the NBA. Those things can't be the only thing. It can't be, that or drugs or the street. You know what I'm saying? So with that, that's what I'm saying the most, though, like, just misguided action, man. Like, waking up without that purpose, or waking up without the right influence in their ear. I think ways we can combat that, though, is mentorship, real life guidance too in the schools. I know what we doing right now is just special, I feel like, in itself, because schools are asking for that. And when we come into the table with our services and our mentorship and what we want to do in the school during school time, man, that's just like, it's been a well-received impact on, like, hey, no, we need more of this. And other schools been reaching out like, hey, I heard y'all doing this over here. Like, come on, let's do this. Like, you know what I mean? So
it's a beautiful feeling.
Even in other states though too, like, it's getting where we want it to be at. But like, I think the biggest way to combat that is to be in their face with that. Like, yo, like, you got people that look like you, who came from your circumstances, that made something of themselves, and we come back to put our hand back in the community to reach back to pull y'all up too. You know what I mean? So
it's meeting them where they are and taking them where they deserve.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And really just understanding that.
Yeah.
And I always told myself, like, man, you starting local, now all of a sudden it's going to be global.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you don't downplay, you know what I'm saying, anything that you do. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, definitely for sure. And that, and once you just start, I feel like then it's like, all right,
you get the
you
ball
understand
rolling.
that, you get the ball rolling. Yeah.
It's like being on the court. Like, once you see one go in, you can make 50.
Nah, for real.
You can make 50.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, I guess, like, for yourself now, like, how would you, encourage, people, community out there to be, like, motivated in the things that they do, man?
Just going back to what we was talking about earlier, man, finding that seed that's inside you. understand that faith goes a long way. Small amount of faith can take you to move a mountain. Also understanding that you gotta have the right influences around you. So your parents, if they telling you something in particular or they telling you something repeatedly, it's because you need to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Not always, oh, my parents tripping. You go to school, you hear the same thing. Guess who's telling you the right thing? The most said thing. You know what I mean? So our teachers, our educators, and then us, people like us, resources, man, the community, we a big part in that because, like I said, it takes a village to really raise a child. It does because parents don't spend much time with their kids. They 8 hours at school. They may got athletics after they come home, and then they see their parents, and then that's that. You know what I mean? Then they got to repeat that cycle Monday through Friday. They spend a lot of time with their parents, falls in I guess the aspect of it, but like more so than anything, it's our community that's raising these children, and we got to pull that seed out of them too and make them believe that. We gotta make sure they encouraged to do that. Like, yo, like I got somebody that believe in me. I don't hear a lot of kids saying that no more either. That's a big thing because all it took was for one person to tell me they believed in me, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And then once it happened for me, that inspired a bunch of hope in a bunch of people for real. So I was like, man, if they could have that influence constantly, I think that would make us a better place in general.
Nah, for sure. I think that that's definitely important, and I definitely would say like for them to hold on to their imagination.
Yeah,
It's so
100%.
hard.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's so hard because
Yeah.
I feel like they're being robbed of their childhood. You know, I mean, you're making adult decisions. You're 13, 14, 15 years old. And I'm saying you got a little sister, you probably got a babysitter. So now you got to sacrifice your time.
Yep.
Can't go, you know, to the game or hang out with your homies and things like that. Or you may not be able to play a sport because of it. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to worry about that.
Not
or
to
just thinking
mention,
about
man,
survival too.
Yeah, internet, man, it's blurring the lines between reality and what's fake. You know what I mean? So the kids kind of like see it in that light, and then their imagination gets robbed from them because they don't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, gotta dream big. Make sure your dreams are, you know, big enough to where people don't believe it, because that's how you end up achieving something special. You know what I mean? So don't wake up and be like, oh man, I want to dream that, you know, I want to be a firefighter. Chances are you could do that. You know what I mean? But dream big enough to where it's like, you know, it's special to you. You know what I mean? That seed is brought out of you, and that's a special root. It's a special purpose for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's like everybody got eyes, but everybody ain't got your vision.
You feel me?
Just log into it. For sure.
100%.
So like, what is one thing that you would like tell your younger self?
That's a good question. Be sophisticated. Understand that it's layers to yourself. You know what I mean? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Always understand that, you know, life will take you in unexpected turns, but then also it'll build you up at the same time. You know what I mean? But be sophisticated, have layers to yourself. 100%.
I like that.
Yeah.
The layers to yourself is always dope. I always think of like, you know, think of yourself as a house. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, all right, you got your basement, you got your living
foundation,
room, and then you got your you got your room, and then you got your attic. Every part of the house you learn something. The basement is where everybody, you know, don't want to start at. The basement builds the character. You know what I'm saying? And
That's
then when you get to the what you stand on, and then it's like the living room, okay, now you've seen a little bit better. Then all of a sudden you get to your room, you're comfortable, then of course the attic is the top. Everybody want to be at the top, but in order to get to the attic, you got to embrace the basement. You know what I mean? So, for sure.
Love that analogy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a
yes,
good
sir.
one,
Yes, sir. So like, I guess, you know, as you're continuing to do this work, man, I just want to say, man, just keep grinding, keep elevating, and just letting God use you, man. It seems like I said, you're having a ball with this. You're building a team with this. You know what I'm saying? It started by yourself. Now you have people, you know, invested into it, man. I see more and more schools getting behind what you're doing, not only in the state of Maryland, you know what I'm saying, the city of Baltimore, but I can see that beyond. You know what I'm saying? Would definitely love to help and extend your services over here in PG as well and everything like that.
We're going to definitely do something special,
for sure, man.
100%.
Definitely. I definitely see it, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm super duper excited, man. And like I said, man, just keep grinding, keep elevating, bro. I see you, man. God see you. He appreciates you. He love you. I see you. I appreciate you. I'm rooting for you too, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
For sure, man. You already know, man. So, like, anything else you want to tell the people? You know what I'm saying? Anything you got going on or anything else you want to tell them, man?
I got an incredible team, yo. Like, I really do. Like, I got a bunch of brothers that I grew up with, over 20-year relationships where That's where our idea came from. It came from us being like, yo, what's some special thing we could do that could embrace the community? Because like we all pillars in our community. Everybody knows a ton of people. Everybody knows a bunch of us. And you know, without them, I wouldn't even be in this seat, man. Honestly speaking, yeah.
Love.
My brothers helped me a lot and supported me through this whole way. And now we supporting each other, kind of helping each other build this vision up and making sure that this house is built the right way. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, couldn't do it without them.
That's fire, man.
100%. Yeah.
Nothing without God, nothing without family, nothing without that support system,
Yeah.
man, and that foundation, man.
Yeah.
So just keep that foundation strong. Keep God in your life, bro.
Yeah.
He gonna keep blessing you for sure, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
You already know, man.
Bro.
Well, this conversation was dope, man.
Yeah.
It was a vibe. It was amazing. I appreciate you for, coming on and sharing your story and inspiring the next person, because that's what it's all about over here, man. Empowering our youth through positive words and positive actions, man, in the community. Unity in the community start with you and me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
You already know, man.
Yo, you got crazy. You got crazy, yo. I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
know what I'm saying? But I'd rather give you your flowers right now than wait at your
Yeah.
eulogy. You feel what I'm saying?
Appreciate it, yeah.
For sure. So you already know, the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. And we out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, bro.
Boy.
Fire.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Soundstripe.